6,000 square kilometers of heavily fortified territory vanished from Russian control in just 96 hours. It was an impossible collapse that defied every modern military doctrine. The Russian General Staff had spent months turning the Kharkiv region into a fortress of steel and concrete, protected by their most elite motorized rifle divisions. But on the morning of September 6, 2022, that entire defensive network simply evaporated. The story of how Ukraine broke the Russian army does not start with a massive artillery barrage or a frontal assault. It starts with a masterclass in psychological manipulation and a phantom offensive. For weeks, the Ukrainian High Command broadcasted their every intention to the world. They loudly announced a massive counteroffensive in the southern Kherson region. They moved equipment in broad daylight. They allowed their communications to be intercepted. The Russian satellite networks and intelligence officers watched this buildup and took the bait completely. In response to this telegraphed threat, the Russian command stripped their northern lines bare. They loaded their most capable units, the seasoned paratroopers and heavy tank battalions, onto trains and shipped them south. They left behind a hollow shell of demoralized conscripts and internal security forces to hold the critical northern front. It was the perfect illusion, and the trap was firmly set. At precisely 0600 hours on September 6th, the illusion shattered. The real hammer fell not in the south, but on the thinly stretched Russian lines near the northern city of Balaklia. The Russian defenders in their trenches expected a slow, methodical artillery duel. Instead, they were hit by a motorized blitzkrieg that looked more like a swarm of angry hornets than a traditional army. Ukrainian special forces and highly mobile infantry units bypassed the main fortified checkpoints entirely. They did not bring heavy, slow-moving armor to punch through the front. They brought fleets of light, fast Humvees mounting 50 caliber machine guns. These unarmored vehicles raced across open fields at 80 kilometers per hour, deliberately ignoring the established roads where Russian artillery was pre-registered to fire. The Russian battalion commanders had mere minutes to react. They tried to call in air support, but the Ukrainian electronic warfare units had already blinded their communication networks. The local command posts were plunged into absolute radio silence. By the time the Russian conscripts realized they were under attack, the Ukrainian Humvees were already operating 10 kilometers behind their forward trenches. The mathematics of the battlefield had shifted instantly. A defensive line is only as strong as its communication, and the Russians were now deaf, blind, and surrounded. What followed was a complete operational paralysis that infected the entire Russian chain of command. The speed of the Ukrainian advance created a terrifying lag in information. Russian generals sitting in headquarters 50 kilometers away were looking at maps that were already 12 hours out of date. They ordered artillery strikes on grid squares that Ukrainian forces had cleared hours ago. Meanwhile, the frontline Russian soldiers were experiencing absolute terror. They heard the distinctive roar of heavy diesel engines approaching from their rear, a direction they believed was completely secure. The psychological shock of being outflanked at 50 kilometers per hour broke their will to fight. Within 36 hours, orderly retreats transformed into desperate, disorganized flights for survival. The vaunted Russian military machine began to disintegrate from the inside out. Soldiers stripped off their uniforms, threw away their body armor, and stole civilian bicycles just to escape the closing encirclement. They left behind everything. The sheer volume of military hardware abandoned in pristine condition defied belief. Warehouses packed with thousands of artillery shells, millions of rounds of small arms ammunition, and rows of anti-tank guided missiles were simply left with their doors wide open. The hunters had become the hunted, and the entire Russian northern flank was in a state of terminal freefall. The true scale of the disaster became apparent as Ukrainian forces pushed deeper toward the strategic hub of Izium. This city was the crown jewel of the Russian northern axis, a massive logistical staging ground that held the key to the entire eastern front. Defending it were battalions equipped with the feared T-80 main battle tanks. These 46-ton steel monsters boast gas turbine engines and advanced composite armor, each representing a multi-million-dollar investment by the Russian state. Yet, when the Ukrainian vanguard reached the outskirts of the city, they found an eerie silence. The Russian tank crews had simply run away. They abandoned their multi-million-dollar vehicles in the middle of the dense forests. The tanks were fully fueled, fully loaded with high explosive ammunition, and left in perfect working condition. In some encampments, Ukrainian infantry walked into mess halls to find hot meals still steaming on the tables and radios still broadcasting empty static. The Russian soldiers had fled with such frantic urgency that they did not even pause to destroy their classified cryptographic equipment or scuttle their vehicles. In the span of 4 days, the Ukrainian army managed to capture more functional heavy armor from the fleeing enemy than they had lost in the entire previous 6 months of combat operations. The true mechanics of this catastrophic Russian failure come down to the mathematics of artillery warfare. A standard Russian artillery battery requires roughly 15 minutes from the moment a target is spotted to the moment the first 152mm high explosive shell impacts the ground. But the Ukrainian vanguard was not moving like a traditional army. They were advancing in unarmored columns at speeds exceeding 60 km/h across open terrain. By the time the Russian forward observers relayed the coordinates, processed the fire mission, and calculated the ballistic trajectories, the Ukrainian units were already 6 kilometers away from the targeted grid square. The Russian gunners were quite literally firing at ghosts. The command structure collapsed under the sheer volume of rapidly changing variables. Their communication lines, relying on outdated, unencrypted radios, were completely saturated with panicked reports from hundreds of collapsing checkpoints. When the artillery commanders finally received accurate coordinates, they realized the terrifying truth. The Ukrainian forces were advancing so incredibly fast that they were now operating inside the minimum engagement range of the heavy Russian howitzers. To fire their weapons meant dropping high explosives on their own retreating infantry. The entire Russian defensive doctrine, built around massive, slow-moving walls of artillery fire, was rendered completely obsolete by pure velocity. While the Russian artillery struggled with impossible math, the Ukrainian commanders possessed a godlike view of the battlefield. This was not achieved through multi-million-dollar satellite networks, but through commercial drones modified in secret underground workshops. At 0900 hours on September 8th, a swarm of cheap quadcopters blanketed the sky above the Oskol River. Each drone cost roughly $2,000, yet they completely neutralized a billion-dollar defensive line. The Ukrainian operators, sitting in hidden bunkers 20 kilometers behind the advancing front line, fed real-time coordinate data directly to the fast-moving Humvee columns. When a fleeing Russian convoy attempted to reorganize at a crossroads, a drone would spot them instantly. Within exactly 45 seconds, precision-guided artillery rockets would rain down on the coordinates. The Russian electronic warfare systems, designed to jam signals across a 50-kilometer radius, were mysteriously silent. The Ukrainian intelligence units had spent the previous 3 weeks identifying the exact thermal signatures of the Russian jamming vehicles. When the Blitzkrieg launched, those jamming systems were the very first targets destroyed by specialized radar-seeking missiles. Blind, deaf, and relentlessly hunted from the sky, the Russian officers lost the ability to issue orders. Their command posts were either vaporized by precision strikes or hastily abandoned in the panic. The situation reached its breaking point as the fleeing Russian forces converged on the few remaining escape routes toward the eastern borders. Tens of thousands of panic-stricken soldiers, mixed with civilian collaborators, created a massive bottleneck at the pontoon bridges crossing the Oskol River. The Ukrainian vanguard, smelling blood in the water, pushed their engines to the absolute limit to close the trap. At exactly 14:30 hours, a column of Ukrainian mechanized infantry secured the high ground overlooking the primary crossing point. The scene unfolding below them was a logistical nightmare of epic proportions. Armored personnel carriers, supply trucks, and stolen civilian vehicles were jammed bumper to bumper for 3 straight kilometers. Russian officers, stripped of their authority by the sheer scale of the panic, were physically fighting their own subordinates for space on the escaping trucks. The strict military hierarchy had completely disintegrated into a primal fight for individual survival. The Ukrainian forces did not even need to engage in a costly frontal assault to secure the area. They simply positioned their heavy machine guns and anti-tank guided missiles on the ridge, effectively sealing the exit. The trapped Russian soldiers faced a bleak mathematical reality. They were blocked by a deep river, surrounded by a highly motivated enemy vanguard, and completely out of diesel fuel. The sheer volume of military hardware captured in this chaotic encirclement completely altered the strategic balance of the entire Eastern Front. Ukrainian logistics teams, following closely behind the combat vanguards, struggled to catalog the staggering amount of abandoned wealth. Entire train yards were found loaded with hundreds of pristine armored fighting vehicles, waiting for transport orders that never arrived. Hidden deep within the surrounding pine forests, they discovered camouflaged ammunition depots containing more than 300,000 rounds of heavy artillery shells. This was not merely a tactical victory. It was the largest single transfer of military equipment since the end of the Cold War. The Russian military had unintentionally become the primary supplier of heavy weapons to the Ukrainian army. Within 48 hours of being abandoned by fleeing Russian crews, these exact same multi-million-dollar machines were turned around and fired back at their former owners. The psychological blow to the Russian high command was immeasurable. They had lost not only 6,000 square kilometers of strategically vital territory, but also the core myth of their own military invincibility. The impenetrable fortress they spent half a year building was systematically dismantled in 4 chaotic days. Inside the Russian National Defense Control Center in Moscow, roughly 700 kilometers away from the front lines, the strategic map was bleeding red. The operational commanders were staring at screens showing the catastrophic failure of their encrypted communication networks. They had invested hundreds of millions of dollars into a digital military network designed to be completely impenetrable. But the system relied heavily on local cellular towers to function effectively. When the Ukrainian forces rapidly advanced, their electronic warfare units systematically shut down the local commercial power grids and cellular infrastructure across the region. The multi-million-dollar digital radios instantly became dead weight in the hands of fleeing officers. Without the digital backbone, the Russian command was forced to broadcast their panic over unencrypted analog frequencies. Ukrainian intelligence officers, sitting in secure bunkers, were listening to the collapse in real time. They heard colonels begging for air support that did not exist, and generals threatening fleeing conscripts with severe punishment. The illusion of a coordinated fighting force evaporated into the electromagnetic spectrum, replaced by the chaotic reality of a broken army trying desperately to survive. The terminal blow to the Russian occupation arrived when the Ukrainian vanguard reached the outskirts of Kupiansk on September 10th. This city was not just a dot on the map. It was the central railway artery feeding the entire Russian war machine in the eastern sector. Every bullet, every drop of diesel fuel, and every ration pack required by the tens of thousands of Russian soldiers flowed directly through the Kupiansk rail yards. The Russian military is fundamentally tied to railroad logistics, lacking the massive fleets of heavy transport trucks needed to supply an army exclusively by road. The sudden realization that no reinforcements were coming triggered a mass exodus that mirrored the darkest days of the 20th century. Infantrymen abandoned their heavily fortified bunkers, leaving behind advanced anti-aircraft missile systems worth $15 million apiece. They commandeered civilian vehicles, painted over the license plates, and drove eastward until the engines ran completely out of fuel. In the span of just 144 hours, the Ukrainian military had successfully reclaimed over 6,000 square kilometers of their sovereign territory. To put that velocity into raw perspective, the Russian army had spent the previous 150 days grinding through the eastern regions, sacrificing tens of thousands of casualties to capture less than half of that distance. The Ukrainian forces achieved this monumental victory with a mere fraction of the heavy armor and close air support typically deemed absolutely necessary for a major offensive. They replaced raw firepower with operational speed, electronic deception, and a masterclass in psychological manipulation. The capture of over 400 pieces of intact heavy equipment transformed the attacking force into a significantly stronger army than when the operation initially began. The defensive lines that Russia had spent half a year fortifying were bypassed, isolated, and forced to surrender without a massive artillery duel. The entire paradigm of a static, grinding war of attrition was violently shattered by the sheer kinetic energy of a brilliantly executed motorized blitzkrieg. The climax of this operational collapse crystallized at a small river crossing outside the village of Oskil on September 11th. A retreating Russian mechanized company, consisting of 12 infantry fighting vehicles and 150 panicked soldiers, attempted to establish a temporary defensive perimeter. They positioned their 30mm cannons toward the main highway, expecting a traditional assault from heavy Ukrainian armor. Instead, they were engaged by an invisible enemy operating purely on velocity and mathematics. At exactly 16:45 hours, a Ukrainian special operations team positioned 3 kilometers away launched a tethered observation drone. Within 40 seconds, the drone operator identified the thermal signatures of the Russian engines idling in the tree line. The exact coordinates were transmitted to a mobile artillery battery operating American-made howitzers 15 kilometers to the west. The Russian commander had exactly 2 minutes and 10 seconds of warning, provided only by the sudden scream of incoming 155mm shells. The first salvo did not target the vehicles directly. It delivered advanced conventional munitions that scattered hundreds of shaped charge submunitions across the center of the escape route. The blast radius created an impassable wall of shredded asphalt, trapping the remaining armor in a lethal kill zone. The engagement lasted less than 4 minutes, annihilating a mechanized company without a single Ukrainian soldier coming within visual range. While the artillery shattered the heavy armor, the Ukrainian light infantry executed the final sweeping maneuvers with ruthless efficiency. 3 columns of unarmored Humvees, advancing at 70 km/h, bypassed the burning wreckage and penetrated deep into the rear staging areas. The Russian forces guarding these logistical hubs were completely blind to the approaching threat until the very last second. At 17:30 hours, the lead Ukrainian vehicle crested a small hill overlooking a massive munitions depot just outside Izium. The depot was guarded by roughly 200 conscripts who had completely lost contact with their higher command. The psychological shock of seeing enemy strike vehicles appearing deep behind their own lines proved far more devastating than any kinetic weapon. The Ukrainian gunners did not even need to fire their heavy 50 caliber machine guns. The mere sight of the fast-moving columns, combined with the catastrophic loss of situational awareness, caused the entire Russian garrison to instantly surrender. Soldiers dropped their rifles, abandoned their fortified guard posts, and walked toward the Humvees with their hands raised. In less than 20 minutes, a critical supply node containing over 40,000 artillery shells and 2 million rounds of small arms ammunition was secured without a single drop of blood being spilled. The Russian military doctrine, built entirely upon rigid top-down control and massive defensive firepower, simply possessed no mathematical equation to counter an enemy that moved faster than their own communication signals.